The Switch has been a huge success since its release in 2017, continuing to grow with one of the strongest first-party lineups of any Nintendo console, along with a decent amount of support from third parties once it got going. The Witcher 3, Overwatch, Wolfenstein, Doom, games I never thought would be in my pocket are now. They aren't perfect, but for what can be a mobile device, they are definitely playable and one hell of a novelty. The indie space is arguably even bigger, with everything from Hollow Knight, Stardew Valley, Untitled Goose Game, and tons of classics from the genre. Unfortunately, Nintendo has kind of become the new Netflix when it comes to quality control. Oh, did you just make your very first game and you don't know where to release it? Well, don't worry, because I'm sure Nintendo will take it. But despite all these games, the Switch is still lacking in the FPS department. There's Doom and Wolfenstein, which are solid single-player shooters, but sometimes you just want to relax with a quick round of something. And yes, I know Doom has multiplayer, but no one really plays it, and it doesn't really scratch that modern military itch I'm talking about. I really can't believe Activision hasn't released some sort of Call of Duty on the Switch by now. A port of Modern Warfare Remastered, a spin-off game like Black Ops Declassified on the Vita, or even just a version of Call of Duty Mobile, just, without the bots. That might fly on the phone, but Switch gamers don't need any of that crap.
Are you a bot? You could be a bot. Yeah, you're just kind of going nowhere, so
I don't feel bad for murdering him.
He wasn't a real person.
There was one attempt at taking a phone FPS and porting it to the Switch with Modern Warfare, Modern Combat 5. I really did get the name confused when I was writing this, but after all, that's what Gameloft is hoping for, right? Trick a few parents into buying their kids something that looks like Call of Duty, right guys? Did I just walk through that railing? Does that railing even exist? But not counting that shameful excuse of interactive entertainment, Switch owners have been out of luck. That all changes now though with the release of Warface on the Nintendo Switch. A modern military first-person shooter with an active online community that you can carry with you or just play in bed if you're one of those switchers. Warface has been around since 2012 on PC and consoles, but continues to be supported and ported to new consoles every couple of years. I won't be surprised if it pops up on the PS5 and Xbox Series X at some point. One of the most successful videos on this channel is my Warface Worth My Time video, and I actually found out about the Switch release from that video's comment section. Even though it's a couple of years old, my thoughts on the game are more or less the same, so if you want more detail, go check that out. But for anyone new, Warface is a modern-ish multiplayer military shooter that's been out on PC and consoles for years. I say modern-ish because you will find some robot enemies here and there, but for the most part, it's your usual modern fare. Assault rifles, shotguns, SMGs, snipers, and a bunch of attachments to go with them that you can actually swap out on the fly, which was always a cool feature of the CryEngine.
Achieved with CryEngine.
Booting up the game, they still use their pompous "achieved with CryEngine" as if this game is a gift from the gods or something. I don't know if I would have included that on the Switch port, but hey, you do you guys.
Oh my god!
When Warface came out on PC in 2012, it was pretty impressive for a free-to-play game to be running on such a AAA engine. And in 2020, it still looks okay, running pretty smooth on even low-end systems, and for a free-to-play game, that's perfect. But on the Switch version, clear cuts had to be made to the visuals to get a consistent experience. The game looks flat, stripping down Warface to its most basic elements, removing things like dynamic lighting and texture filtering and definitely its resolution, but hey, it runs. It's the usual Switch port where they crank the settings down to low, add some dynamic resolution scaling, and hope for the best. And while this might sound like a bad thing, it really just means they prioritized gameplay over it looking pretty in screenshots, and I can respect that. In handheld mode, you're looking at a blurry but playable 540p image that your eyes do get used to, and when in docked mode, it runs at an eye-watering 720p, oh my god. On the TV, the game actually reminded me a lot of Bad Company 2, just in the way the game looked and ran like a 7th generation gem. Something about the menu structure, the gun's animations, and the way it handles feels like, well, it's 2012 Origins, and here it definitely shows. I guess the question has finally been answered though. Yes, the Switch can run Crysis on low at 540p, blurry, with no lighting, and barely any effects. Despite the visual cuts that were made, the full Warface experience is here. Not a feature went to the wayside. Of course, the multiplayer is here with basic team deathmatch, free-for-all, and search and destroy stuff. It also includes Storm, a larger scale mode similar to Battlefield's Rush, adding to the comparison. Co-op modes are also present with all the same missions as the PC version, even the relatively new Mars update from last year.
Fuck, ow. Oh, I'm in the part. I just got Metal Gear Solid Ford.
The game controls well enough. I'm not much of a console shooter guy anymore, but after a few days, I started to get back into the groove. Playing on the TV with a Pro controller felt fine, but when playing in portable mode, the Joy-Con's smaller joysticks made it a little harder to aim. I did get used to it after a bit, but my hands definitely felt sore after a few games, making me take a break. One new addition to Warface's controls is the introduction of gyro aiming. I know plenty of Nintendo fans swear by gyro aiming, and I think in games like Ocarina of Time, it's fine, but here I just couldn't get it to feel right. There are tons of control customization options to change the game to your liking, but no matter how I set it, the gyro aiming just never clicked. It's like it added an extra step when I noticed an enemy. It was like, okay, first move into position, then aim with the analog stick, and then aim with the tilt controls. And by then I was usually dead on the ground and ready to respawn. I thought it would be great when in docked mode because then you could use the Joy-Con more like a Wii mode and point. But again, the gyro aim let me down, paling in comparison to a true pointing aiming solution. I ended up just turning it off in the end and just playing it like a normal FPS and had a much more enjoyable time. As far as problems with this port, there isn't much. Aiming down sights can sometimes pop in and out because of the Joy-Con's non-analog triggers, but that's more of a Nintendo problem and not really Warface's fault. And right now there's some kind of bug going on where you get stuck on the first screen.
Well, we're waiting.
If you load up the game and you're stuck on the menu and it says global in the top right, just close the game and relaunch it, and then it should connect the next time. Other than that, which I'm sure will get fixed, the game ran fine, it played fine, and overall, I had a great experience with it. Oh, and by the way, there's still plenty of tactical cleavage, so don't worry.
What is that? What the fuck is that?
So all that to say, if you're checking out Warface for the first time on Switch, you aren't missing out on much the game has to offer. And what it does offer is an action-packed run-and-gun experience that the Switch really needed. Servers have been packed, showing a clear desire for these types of games on the Switch, and I've been waiting too. Games like Warface, Iron Sight, Call of Duty are just dumb fun you don't have to take too seriously. There's no story to follow or big overarching mission, you just run around and shoot people, and when you've had enough, you turn it off and go to bed, or whatever. So I'm glad they put Warface on the Switch, taking it from being a good shooter on PC to being the best shooter on the Nintendo Switch right now.